Yes, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon in our time and UK time. I'm Basim Al Salim. I'm from Al Bawani Holding Company, working with them as an assistant KSA director. Our presentation today it will be about the safety during Ramadan. I know there is some people they don't know what's meaning of Ramadan and fasting. So today, IRSN they give this opportunity for us to explain to you what is required during fasting during the month of Ramadan. We will start our presentation with the contents, the objectives. What is Ramadan? What is the exemption from fasting and the fasting and the risk, which risk will be increased during the fasting, the symptoms of fatigue and dehydration, potential control measures, and also employees' responsibility, diet, and driving during Ramadan. Our objectives for today, webinar, is to understand what is Ramadan and what meaning of the fasting for those who are non-Muslims. Understand what fasting does to the body and also understanding who may be exempt, understand the risks and also during the fast and understand the possible control measures. Ramadan is for 2022 at 1443. It's in Muslim calendar. It's expected to be in 2nd of April until the 2nd of May, and maybe it will be 2nd of April or the 3rd of April. Ramadan is the ninth month in Muslim and Islamic calendar, and it's a time of fasting. Also, it's self-restraint, reflection, generosity, family, and community. The Muslims observing Ramadan begin each day with the bread and rice meal, which we call sahur, and only eat and drink again at the post sunset meal of iftar, and go to the evening prayer, which we call is tarawih. In many parts of the world, the working day it will be shortened during Ramadan. For example, in Saudi Arabia, the working hours will be decreased from 8 hours to 6 hours only. However, where is not applicable, there are still many reasonable steps companies may take, and we will talk about it. The fasting, as stated on the previous slide, practicing Muslim will not eat, drink, or smoke between sunrise and the sunset. This is, as you know, it's long period. It's depending to the country's time. Some country is 12 hours, 14 hours, and some countries become up to 20 hours, such as Germany and Sweden, Switzerland. In this long time period, people they will not eat and they will not drink the water, and it will put them in stress on the individual, both mentally or physically. Fasting or spoiling, this is where an individual breaks the fast for medical or other reasons, but usually they add additional days of fasting on Iftar Ramadan to compensate for the spoiled days. We will talk in the next for the exemptions, as we said in the previous slide. There is something is important in the Islamic faith, does not require people with particular health conditions who may be at greater risk to fast to take on the full regions of the month. This may apply to, but not be limited to the following: senior or old, the elderly worker, those with diabetes, traveler, and those who are ill sick. Also, for especially there is some ill sicks which require the people to drink water during the day, especially the people who have kidney problem or they have diabetes. They are exempted from fasting during Ramadan, and there is rules for those people. Either they will, if they have, I mean, here all the time they have this, they are all the time sick with, especially with kidney, diabetes. These people, they will pay amount for one meal amount for poor people, homeless people, money. For people who were sick, maybe kind of a flu, or maybe he cannot fast, he has to fast again after Ramadan days. And all the previous cases, nobody can decide from himself, today I'm sick. No, he has to consulate with the doctor, and the doctor, if he advise him, don't fast, or if you fast, your life will be in risk, so he is not allowed to fast. So if he is sick and he fasts, in the Islamic faith, it's not allowed. The increased risk, here we're going to talk about how the risk will be increased during the fasting. There is potentially more incidents due to the poor concentration because they are fasting, no food, no water. Potentially more heat stress incidents, potentially more flickering due to the irritability, and also the fasting non-fasting difference. Potentially less staff, as some faster will not attend work if Ramadan is not supported, managed within a company. The potential control measure which we need to take in our consideration, we have to communicate Ramadan as an opportunity to foster closer team relationship and teamwork, plan work activity around the needs of the fasting employees. Lighting or lightening or sharing of workloads between the team to make the task it's more easier, allowing extra breaks and additional rest period, so people they will take good rest, then they can reactivate themselves to work, and to schedule the critical task and meetings first thing in the morning, where those fasting will find it easier to concentrate because it was close to the suhoor time, which is before the sunrise, and in the morning they have enough power to work in good condition. Also, in additional, we have also to schedule non-critical and routine tasks, which is easy for later in the day before the duty hour ending. Engage with non-fasting workers to show the cooperation by not eating, drinking, or smoking in front of their fasting colleagues. Also, we have to inform our workers of the signs and symptoms of dehydration and fatigue, or by communicating the fasting risk assessment. Also, we have to give a brief to our worker on the importance of sleep and diet, how they have to take good sleeping to maintain the power in their bodies, and what kind of food they have to eat, for example. And we have to have educate and sufficient number of the first aid cover, and ensure that our first aiders and the male nurse or site nurse is available. Now we're gonna talk about the fatigue and dehydration symptoms. What is the symptoms when we are fasting? What we will have, how we can identify that we are now, we will start to be in fatigue mode or dehydration mode. The irritability, it's important when people they will feel that they started. So it's one of the symptoms. Lack of energy, of course, due to not eating, not drinking, for the smoker not smoking. Dizziness and lightheadedness, headaches, the nausea and fainting, potential heat stress. Potential heat stress due to the lack of water and the dehydration. So all of the above, it's the symptoms of the fatigue and dehydration. What is our responsibility during the fasting day? What is our responsibility before starting the fasting day? We will explain here, and we will give a brief idea about what we have to do. What is our responsibility? For example, we have to take suhoor meal as late as possible, as close to dawn, to sun, to sustain energy level longer throughout the day. There are some people, they will eat 2 a.m. and they will sleep. And the suhoor time or the sunrise time is 5 a.m., for example. So there's 3 hours. This is time your body, it will start to use the food energy, the water, cooling of the body. So our advice is to, to delay the suhoor meal as late as possible. Manage personal workload so that the strenuous worker is conducted in the morning. Also, take regular breaks in cool area and monitor themselves and the other for signs of fatigue, dehydration, which we was discussed before in the recent slide. Also, we have to keep communication channel open with employers and adhere to Ramadan risk assessments. In this slide, and in this part, we're going to talk about the diet. You know, the diet change before we are eating, drinking in regular time, and smoking, or we are taking coffee. All of this change, it will have effects on us. So not drinking or eating during daylight hours is a big chance for most of us, a big change for most of us. Fasting can cause temporary low blood sugar and dehydration. Low blood sugar occurs when the sugar, here the glucose, in the blood drops to a lower than normal level. What you might feel in this, you will feel tired, the irritability, headache, pain or light-headed, hungry, loss of the concentration during the day. The next slide here, what to eat at iftar and suhoor meals. So please here, I need your attention because here is the important part of our presentation. Because our body does not digest food well at night, even if we stay awake, because this is the body system. So we have to eat healthy diet at suhoor, complex carbohydrates, or slow digesting food at suhoor so that the food lasts longer, about 8 hours, making you less hungry during the day. This complex carbohydrates are found in foods that contain grains and seeds like barley, wheat, oats, milk, semolina, beans, lentils, wholemeal flour, and unpolished rice. Health food at iftar and suhoor also, as we discussed and as I told you. In additional, what kind of food we have to eat, like pasta, rice, potatoes, and fruits, vegetables, fish, red meat, tofu and beans, skim or low-fat milk and cheese, refined carbohydrates, or fast digesting food lasts for only 3 to 4 hours, and maybe better taken at iftar rapidly restore blood glucose level. Why? Because during the day we are fasting. Okay, so the fast will burn the food including inside our body. So we have to start with sweet just to increase or restore the blood glucose. And this is we can find this kind of blood glucose restoring from the dates, because it's an excellent source of sugar, fiber, carbohydrates, potassium, magnesium, and have been recommended since the day of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a good way of breaking the fast to keep our blood glucose level and to restore it again to the normal level. Driving during Ramadan, there is a study about the increasing accident, I mean here the vehicle accident in Ramadan due to the fatigue, due to the mentally or physically fatigue, due to the, especially the people who is taking nicotine, caffeine, the stress it will be increased, or they will have high temper. And the study in Saudi Arabia, GCC country, they are telling most of the accidents happen before 1 hour of iftar time and 3 hours from suhoor. So we have to, if we have to schedule and to plan our driving time during this fasting days in Ramadan, so to avoid to accident, to avoid the traffic, we have to plan our day when we will go to the duty, when we will finish, we will go to the market, when we will go with our family outside, and to avoid the timing before the iftar time and suhoor time, because all people they will be run to go homes or restaurant or hotels to have their breakfast meal. So please don't drive when you are tired. Also, you have to know your limits, especially during the fasting. And also, if you feel you are tired, take taxi better than you are driving your car, bus, or carpool. Take a short nap before driving, 15 to 20 minutes, especially the people who is working during the fasting day and they want to drive from the drive. And to be honest with you, it was when we were working around 120 kilometers out of the city during the fasting time. Taking short nap, it was good practice for me and for the team before leaving, because we starting 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. So 12 p.m. you have to move and drive 120 kilometers. You are fasting, and the body started to become weak. It was already 6 hours of working. It will drive you to the tired. So if you take this 15 to 20 minutes nap, it will be good practice, and it will be wake up you. Eat lightly before driving, especially this is when you are going for Tarawih Salah or prayer or for the Fajr. So eat small and light. Don't eat too much, because if you eat too much again, you're gonna feel lazy or you feel sleepy. And consider when you are driving for the signages, for the stoplight, and all the time keep yourself is awake and alert. This is it was our presentation for today. I hope it's light and short and you enjoy it. If you have any question, please raise it. Thank you for your listening, and thanks for your joining us today in our webinar. And I hope that I express the full idea about what is Ramadan and fasting and what is our objectives and our control measures during the fasting. Thanks.
Thank you, Basim. That was a really interesting presentation. Does anybody have any questions for Basim? If you want to send them through now, or we can end the webinar. So look, that was really comprehensive. So thanks so much for speaking to us today. It's a fascinating subject, and I'd like to wish everyone a good afternoon or good evening. Thank you for attending the webinar. Oh, we've just had a question through. Excellent. For company drivers having long working hours, I don't know what the whole question is. It's a question about company drivers having long working hours, even in Ramadan. So I suppose the question is, should they be having long working hours even during Ramadan? Sorry, Basim, you're on mute.
Again, what is the question again?
I think it's for company drivers having long working hours, should they be long even during Ramadan?
This is, you know, all the drivers, they have, especially the driver who's working in a fleet, or they are working in transportation, working in logistic or supply chain. They are also, they are same the worker who will work in the field. So for them, long trip drive, it will affect them health during Ramadan, and they will have the fatigue symptoms. So I'm talking here for Saudi Arabia, and I believe that also in GCC country. They are following only 6 hours duty for them, but they are giving them 2 hours driving and 1 hour as a break. So they will avoid the long drive.
Great, yeah, thank you. And then we've got one more question. It's a bit of a medical one, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to this one. Can a person with increased levels of bilirubin, in brackets liver issue, continue with fasting?
Sorry, I'm not a specialist in this.
Yeah,
so
yeah, I did wonder. It's a bit more of a medical question, that one, isn't it, rather than a general knowledge question. So the next question is, some people advise sugar for patients who are going to fast. Is this something you'd recommend? Might be a medical question as well.
Also, it's a medical question, but it's depends to the people. There are some people, if they have diabetes, they cannot fast, especially who's taking insulin, or there are some people. It's at the end, it's based on the doctor advice.
Okay, Great, that sounds like sensible advice. Okay, so there's no more questions. Thanks so much, Basim. Really interesting webinar. The webinar will be uploaded onto the IIRSM YouTube channel after the event. It should take a couple of days, so if you want to watch back or share it with colleagues, please do. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.